Greetings of the day, dear learners. I am Dr. Shaumili Mandal and I am back with the fourth lecture of my 10th module. My fourth lecture will deal with the lessons from Central and West India and the module you already know, Folk and Modern Society Challenges and Acceptances. Now, I will tell you about the instances we have from Central and the Western parts of India. And I will start with Rajasthan. Rajasthan's cultural identity is greatly influenced by its folklore. However, contemporary society has accepted and rejected some of its elements according to shifting social norms, progressive ideas and legal frameworks. Rajasthan's cultural narrative continues to revolve around the folklore that honors heroism, honor and valor, such as the stories of Rajput bravery like Rani Durgavati and Pannadhai, or the legend of Maharana Pratap, the warrior king who fought the Mughal army. These tales are seen as representations of tenacity and patriotism, and they frequently serve as sources of motivation in the contemporary setting. Deeply rooted in Rajasthani folklore, cultural events such as Ghumar dance and Kalbelia performances have gained international recognition and support, and they have emerged as emblems of creative legacy. However, many aspects of Rajasthani folklore that support or uphold caste-based discrimination, the Jauhar, the mass self-sacrifice of women during times of war, and Sati, the ritual self-immolation of widows, are disapproved of in modern culture. Despite their historical association with ideas of honor, these elements of folklore have come under fire for upholding a caste system and gender inequality. Like most of India, Rajasthan has moved away from these archaic traditions in the modern era, especially in the wake of progressive social movements that prioritize human rights and gender equality, as well as legal bans like the Sati Prevention Act of 1987. I have attached here a photo, and this is a part of the Mehrangarh Fort in Rajasthan. And as you can see, they are the handprints of young women, those who were the princesses and the queens of the kings. And they were a part of the Sati Pratha, means they were burnt, or you can say immolated alive when their husband died, so that their honor remains intact and their honor is not disregarded by other men. The term Sati we have, is from the Puranas, and Sati was one of the wives, we can say, of the Lord Mahadev. And Sati actually symbolizes purity. And these women were a part of the Sati Pratha because they were, as I said, had to be pure after the marriage, and if they are dying with their husband, their Sati or the purity will be intact. It will not be dishonored. We have the example of the Jauhar Brat, and the Jauhar Brat we have seen most famously of the Rani Padmini, and we have seen those in the Bollywood movies, right? Rani Padmini was known for her beauty. We all know the story about it. And as Alauddin Khilji was attracted towards her, she went for Jauhar, that is self-immolation, with thousands of women to keep her honor intact. These customs were very prevalent in Rajasthan, but now when modern technology is coming and people are embracing modernity, these parts of the folklore which shows the submissiveness of women, or you can say inequality with women, are being disregarded and discarded. It was considered, this Sati, as a voluntary act of devotion, but some scholars believe it was sometimes forced upon women. The practice was outlawed, and the Sati Prevention Act of 1987 also outlines measures for the rehabilitation of victims and their families, emphasizing the importance of community vigilance and support. Nonetheless, folkloric components that uphold social justice, solidarity and reverence for the natural world has gained new significance in the contemporary cultural manifestations and are maintained as a markers of social cohesion and cultural pride. Next, I will talk about the instances from Gujarat. Gujarati folklore is essential to the formation of cultural identity. Yet, contemporary society has accepted and rejected certain facets of it, according to changing social, cultural and moral norms. While portions of folklore that support harmful or antiquated practices are progressively being rejected, those that emphasize community values, religious devotion and regional pride are accepted. The observance of Ram Leela and Garba during yearly holidays such as Navratri is a prime illustration of recognized folklore. The folk customs, which have their roots in communal involvement and religious devotion, continue to play a significant role in Gujarati life today. Gujarat's rich cultural and social life is symbolized by the traditional folk dances of Garba and the Dandiya Ras, which are not only appreciated locally but have also acquired international acclaim. Similar to this, Gujarati's collective memory is still resonant with tales of folk heroes like Rana Kumbh and Maharana Pratap. Though they are a part of Rajasthan, but they are also a part of Gujarat, and they stand for courage, selflessness and tenacity, reinforcing virtues of honor and strength. But elements of folklore that uphold antiquated traditions or societal barriers are becoming less and less popular. The custom of sati, which has been mentioned in some Gujarati folk tales, is also one such instance. Particularly after the Sati Prevention Act of 1987, the sati folklore, which extolled the virtues of a widow self-immolating on her husband's pyre, has been denounced, and women have advocated for rights and gender equality, have led to a critical re-evaluation of such narratives. Here, I have attached a photo of a woman doing the Kutch embroidery. The Kutch is a region of Gujarat, and the women make their livelihood by weaving these embroidery on clothes, and these clothes are then made into many designs. Some make it ghagra, some make it saris, and some make it other dress materials also, like draping styles even, and also they are becoming a part of generating revenue for the state of Gujarat. The more the Kutch embroidery is famous, the more earnings these women have. And also you can say that women are being empowered through this Kutch embroidery, and this is passed through generations. There are factories actually, and women teach women, which is also an example of empowerment and solidarity, and it makes them a bit free from the clutches of patriarchy. Next, I am going to talk about the instances from Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh folklore has been crucial in forming the state's cultural consciousness. However, in order to conform to modern ideals, some aspects have been accepted or discarded. Folklore that highlights spiritual values, environmental harmony and community ties has gained widespread acceptance. For example, the Gond, Baiga and Bhils tribal epics and oral traditions like the stories of Baradev, the Gond's great god, or the Bhagoria celebration honoring young couples' love and consent are praised for maintaining their original identity and advancing ecological awareness. Through government initiatives and cultural events, folk songs like Alha and Nimari Lokgit as well as dance styles like Matki and Tertali are promoted. They also support regional art and culture in a contemporary setting. However, some aspects of Madhya Pradesh folklore have been rejected or critically re-examined, particularly those that support caste-based exclusion, superstition or gender discrimination. Old ballads or folk tales that romanticize child marriage or portray women in submissive sacrificial roles, for instance, are no longer encouraged since they go against contemporary legislation and societal norms that prioritize the empowerment and rights of women. Similar to this, progressive education and social movements that promote equality and diversity are challenging folklore that perpetuates caste-based inequalities or untouchability and are frequently veiled in folk tales or rituals. Furthermore, folk-based superstitious activities such as witch hunting, the Dayan Pratha, in tribal regions where women were hunted and accused of witchcraft are now being socially and legally denounced. Despite having their origins in folklore and traditional belief systems, these activities are now seen as grave human rights violations. NGOs and government awareness campaigns are trying to persuade rural people to abandon these damaging traditions. As a reason, Madhya Pradesh contemporary culture actively rejects those elements of its varied folklore traditions that go against constitutional principles, rational science, and they are actually honoring the ones which can be a part of the mainstream culture. Here I have attached a photo of the Khajuraho inscriptions, the temple sculptures which are there. And Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh was known for the Devadasi Pratha. And the Devadasi Pratha, though we know it was more prominent in the south, but it was also there in Madhya Pradesh. And the photo which I have attached is an instance that it was prevalent in some of the temples of Madhya Pradesh. The photo is the first inscriptional reference of Devadasi tradition in the temple of Madhya Pradesh, as I said. And among the entertainment activities, dance and music were the foremost. And who were the Devadasis? They were the maidens devoted to the worship and entertainment of the presiding deity. Presence of many reliefs depicting dances and musicians on this temple also attest the popularity of this tradition. For the first time, we find prominence given to reliefs depicting dance and musical activities, and these were placed at prominent locations. Though the reliefs depicting dance and musicians were found in earlier temples, but those were mostly not so relevant. At Brahmeshwara temple and the area, female musicians were given importance for the first time. Now, I will be talking about the instances from Chhattisgarh. Folklore still has an impact on traditions, identity and societal values in Chhattisgarh. But as the state develops into a modern society, some aspects of folklore have been accepted while others have been challenged or disregarded. You can say, as I have said in the instance of Madhya Pradesh and in other states also, we see, the commonality that the positive one has been accepted, be it, a tribal culture or a folk culture, and the negative ones we say, which the society feels not so pertinent in the recent times have been ignored. So, that is, is the, you can say, the better part of accepting, assimilating and also disregarding and discarding of folklore. we have the choice actually that which portion we want to carry forward and which portion we don't think should be promoted due to humanitarian ground and also due to women inequality and disrespect. Folk customs that honor the environment, communal cohesion and cultural legacy are generally embraced. For instance, celebrations like the Bastar Dashera, which honors tribal gods rather than the popular Rama-centric version, and the worship of Devguris or the local village deities are valued for their distinctiveness and spiritual depth. Folk dances that are done at harvest and community festivals such as Shaila, Panthi and Raut Nach are still cherished and regarded as essential manifestations of joy and shared identity. However, aspects of folklore that support, I already informed you earlier, that which supports social exclusion, gender inequality and most importantly superstition are being disapproved. Folk beliefs in black magic led to the practice of witch hunting. So, we have the witch hunting called Dayan Pratha and now we have the witch hunting in Chhattisgarh known as the Tonhi Pratha. The Tonhi Pratha actually, where witches, women who were accused of witching and witchcraft were actually hunted, which is, we can say, extremely disrespectful towards women. Widows or socially weak were labeled as witches in this Tonhi Pratha and violently attacked. These practices have come under heavy criticism and are now prohibited, and the Chhattisgarh government is actively launching awareness programs to do away with them. Similar to this, legal action and education are progressively destroying folklore that supports caste-based segregation or defends untouchability. Furthermore, some folk tales that portray women solely as subordinate or destined for misery are no longer consistent with contemporary notions of gender equality. Their stories are becoming less relevant to younger, more educated women and are being rewritten to give women agency. Nonetheless, women's roles in folk art are being kept as empowering cultural tradition, such as the prominent positions in songs like Sua Nach, in which women sing and dance in celebration of the harvest and sisterhood. The rich aspects of Chhattisgarh folklore that honor creative tradition, community life and environmental respect are accepted and preserved in the modern state. In addition, it actively opposes destructive customs such as caste-based exclusion, gender inequality, witch hunting and a shift towards just and sensible society. Here I have attached a photo of the red ant chutney, which is also known as the chapra chutney, and it is a tribal food of the tribes of Chhattisgarh. It is mainly consumed to for better taste and also for medicinal purposes, and it is actually prepared in a very traditional way. People throughout the world are now becoming, you can say, admirers of the red ant chutney, and it is becoming prevalent, though it is it is inhuman to kill the ants for our you can say palate, but still it is being a part of the cuisine throughout the world. It is made by collecting red ants and their eggs, drying them and then grinding them with various spices to create a flavorful chutney. The chutney is known for its sour, tangy and spicy flavor, which is attributed to the formic acid in the ants. It is mostly prevalent in the Bastar region of Chhattisgarh, and also people relish them and they eat it because of the medicinal purposes, as the formic acid actually helps human being. And as earlier we did not get the formic acid in form of medicines, what the tribes did is they consumed these ants to gain that formic acid element in their own body. Now, I'll be talking about the instances from Maharashtra. Folklore has played a crucial role in Maharashtra's cultural and social life, impacting community values, festivals, and artistic expressions. As the state has evolved, it has rejected aspects of folklore that uphold social prejudice, inequality, or superstition, while accepting those that foster solidarity, cultural pride, and moral principles. We have the rich Powara tradition, the heroic ballads that describe the bravery of historical figures like Tanaji Malusari and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And it is one of the most prominent recognized elements of folklore. The tales are praised for inspiring courage, dignity, and patriotism, particularly among young people. Folk theatre genres like Tamasha and Lavani, which blend narrative, music, and social criticism, have been adapted for contemporary media like television and film, while remaining intact as manifestations of regional identity and artistic inventiveness. However, aspects of folklore that support caste-based exclusion or patriarchal beliefs have become more and more disapproved of in contemporary culture. Older Lavani performances and folk tales, for example, have been condemned for perpetuating gender stereotypes through specific storylines that depicted women in excessively sexualized or submissive roles. These shapes have been reinvented by modern authors and artists to represent social consciousness and women's liberation. Similarly, in a state that has witnessed powerful social reform movements led by individuals like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Jyotiba Rao Phule, folklore that perpetuated caste hierarchies such as stories that position Dalits or tribal people in the subordinate role is no longer acceptable. A more critical view of caste-related folklore has resulted from these leaders' strong opposition to regressive elements of traditional culture. As I told you in my previous lectures that the Dalits, right, and the Dalit Panther movement became an extremely important part in the Maharashtrian, you can say, culture. They rose their voice against the domination of the upper caste and they carved their own space. It has also influenced the folklore of Maharashtra and has shaped the history of Maharashtra. In addition, superstitious customs that are frequently connected to traditional beliefs like Bhanamati, the black magic, or tales that defend discriminatory procedures have been abandoned in favor of scientific and rationalist methods. The public has been educated against dangerous traditional practices and blind faiths by groups such as the Maharashtra Andhashraddha Nirmulan Samiti, the MANS, which was established by the late Dr. Narendra Dabholkar. To put it simply, Maharashtra's path to modernity has entailed keeping and honoring folklore that upholds moral principles and cultural identity while eradicating aspects that go against the idea of justice, equality, and reason. The state's strong reforming heritage and dedication to advancement without losing sight of its cultural foundations are reflected in this well-rounded approach. Next, I am going to talk about Goa, Daman and Diu, the union territories we have. Local identity in Goa, Diu and Daman regions with a blend of Portuguese and Indian cultural heritage and is greatly influenced by folklore. But in order to conform to changing social, secular and progressive norms, modern society has either accepted or rejected, very similar to the others, certain aspects of it. Folklore that honors nature, festive customs and social peace has gained widespread acceptance. For instance, traditional songs and dances called Mando and Dekni, which combine Portuguese and Konkani influences are still performed during cultural festivals in Goa and are marketed as representations of the area's distinct syncretic past. Folk festivals like Carnival, which has Christian European origins, and Sigmo, a spring festival observed by the Hindu population with processions based on dance and mythology, coexist and are valued for their capacity to unite disparate culture. Similarly, folk tales about natural elements, sea spirits, and village guardians are still prized, particularly in rural regions, and are frequently seen as a component of the area's eco-spiritual consciousness. But in contemporary situations, folklore that upholds strict patriarchy, superstition, or social discrimination is increasingly being challenged or disregarded. For instance, women were excluded from public rituals in certain earlier village legends and customs because they were thought to be the carriers of bad luck during menstruation or childbirth. These customs are now frequently contested by awareness campaigns and legislative changes. Christian and Hindu folklore that historically served to uphold gender norms through stories of submissive or self-sacrificing women is now being interpreted through feminist and secular perspectives in Goa as well as the territories of Diu and Daman. Once employed to evoke fear or obedience, Catholic folktales about saints and spirits are now being repeated with an emphasis on moral precepts rather than supernatural punishment. As education and healthcare improved and scientific reasoning becomes more widely available, superstitions that are prevalent in ancient folk beliefs across communities are being disregarded. Once held in high regard in folklore, traditional healers or bhagats are now being incorporated into wellness traditions without depending on mystical claims guaranteeing public safety and sensible practice. Here I have attached a photo of a very famous drink of Goa named Feni. It is actually a beverage which is predominant in the whole Goa, and tourists flock in Goa still now for this Feni. And what is this Feni made of? It is made of cashew nuts and it has some alcoholic elements in it, which gives, you can say, which acts as a stress buster actually for the people. It is known for its unique flavor and is double distilled for a powerful spirit. The word Feni is thought to come from the Konkani word fen, meaning froth, which refers to the bubbles that form when the liquor is poured. And as I said, it is made of two things. One is the cashew nut and the another one is the coconut one. The cashew nut and the coconut one both are prevalent in Goa. The photo which I have attached is the Feni being made, you can say it's made actually, it's already made from the cashew nuts, and it is being more, kind of, you can say, condiments are being implied to it, are being dripped in it to make it more popular and appealing to the tourist. Cashew Feni has a strong earthly flavor with notes of roasted nuts, while coconut Feni is lighter and more floral. Now we come to the end of the fourth lecture of the 10th module. So here, if I summarize, I have tried to give you the various aspects like the Feni and the others which have been taken by the, you can say, the culture, which are still prevalent in the culture, which are being passed through the culture. The Feni is actually an industry in Goa and people make their livelihood, and the state, you can say, generates in revenues from Feni. Though Feni has been commercialized nowadays because the companies are banking on it, because people are demanding more of Feni. Similar to the other, as I said, the red ant chutney is also a part of the international cuisine now, because tribes from other parts of the world have similar taste. And on the other hand, in Maharashtra, we have the Dalits shaping the culture of it, and in Rajasthan and Gujarat, we have the prevention of the Sati Pratha and the Kutch embroidery, which are helping women in many ways. Thank you and see you in my next lecture.